So South Africa have won the first test against Zimbabwe by a mammoth 328 runs. This was the largest defeat for Zimbabwe by margin. It was a complete dominating performance by South Africa as a whole. And I'm pretty happy with the way things have panned out because we got to see a little bit of everything. So I'm sitting here quite proud of the way the Proteas have performed and the way certain players have performed as well. That's also extremely important that we had a holistic performance from the new players and the players that are on the fringes of the South African setup. Now, there are a couple of pointers that we want to talk about. It's maybe a little bit negative and it's maybe not something that we want to speak about after a victory, but I'm going to raise some questions about certain aspects as well on today's show. And I'm doing this review nice and early so that this video can get maximum views throughout the day when I'm talking about this particular match. But before we get going with today's show, before we get started, there's a couple of things I'd like you guys to please do. First and foremost, subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell for all future videos, smash the like button, comment, and share as well. Very important that you comment on the video after the stream has ended. It really helps the channel boost and go into the algorithm, and a lot more people will be recommended this video if you do so for me, please. So I know you guys are active in the live chat, but also get involved in the comment section too. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. I'm looking forward to discussing this with you guys. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your review show. I'm your host, Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about everything that happened in the first test between South Africa and Zimbabwe. Now, this was a complete domination from South Africa. Let's just start that there. I'm so happy that they did it in a way that is ruthless. I mean, you are World Test Championship finalists and winners, so you want to be able to stamp your authority and make a statement after winning a massive trophy like that. And South Africa were dominant from the get-go. You could say we won majority of the sessions, bar maybe one session throughout this test match, but it didn't start off this test the way we wanted it to. Of course it did not, as per usual. South Africa don't make it very easy for themselves when it comes to certain things. But this match obviously started off with us winning the toss, and that was a good thing. But us electing to bat first on a wicket that was quite bouncy on day one. And day two, I would say as well. But it did get better to bat on as time progressed. And that was my concern here because our senior batters didn't step up and perform in this match. And that's the only negative I really have to say about the performance. I wish that our senior batters made massive statements and put massive runs on the board. I would have been happy with that. But what that did allow is for us to see other players step up. So it was one of those bittersweet type of situations because on the one hand, I wanted senior players to really stamp their authority and bully the Zimbabwean bowlers who are pretty good as well. Let's not get it wrong. I'm not trying to say here that Zimbabwe is not a good team because Zimbabwe's bowlers have a lot in them. Shivanga was brilliant as well throughout this test match. Um, Mazarabadi as well was very good throughout this test match. So I think that they have some great players here, and the spinners also got some turn as well. So it's not like they didn't come fighting because we were obviously 23 for 3 in the first test match on day one in the first session. So it is not like they didn't give us any challenges. But I would have liked to see our senior players stamp their authority and show us what they can do. But that didn't happen. And then what ended up happening, of course, is Luandre Pretorius stepped up. We got to see a youngster on debut step up with Deva Brevis, both brilliant. Deva Brevis attacking, brilliant in his performance, the way he approached the game, absolutely magnificent. I think to see a youngster play with so much freedom, and that is something that we know for a fact that Coach Shukri has instilled in these players. When we spoke to some of the players after the World Test Championship final and the victory, that is one thing that KG, for example, told us exclusively on Cricket Fanatics magazine. He told us that the one thing about Coach Shukri that he really appreciates compared to other coaches that he's played under before is that Coach Shukri allows them the freedom to express themselves. And I think that is brilliant. And we got to see that in the two youngsters that played. 153, obviously, for Luandre Pretorius, and 51 from Deva Brevis on day one of this test match. And that kind of set up the game because on top of that, Corbin Bosch got his first ever first class 100 in this match as well. And that was brilliant to see from that perspective. So from a batting performance perspective, we did get to see the younger players put up their hands, and maybe a fringe player, you could say, like Corbin Bosch, who is now knocking heavily on that door for a first team spot after the performance that he put on in the series today. And I was a little bit critical of him after his first bowling, about his bowling from a bowling standpoint, because I wanted to see an improvement in his bowling. But he proved me definitely wrong in this final innings. But we'll get to that and what happened on day 4. I do want to give some credit to some of the bowlers from Zimbabwe. That's something that I really want to do. Shivanga was fantastic. He got 4 for 83, and he really caused a hell of a lot of problems, particularly for our senior bowlers. He dismissed Tony DeZorzi on day 1. He dismissed David Bedingham as well. So he was really important. And he also took out Luandre Pretorius, who was in fine form on 153. So he was very, very lethal for Zimbabwe. And I think he bowled very, very good lines and lengths. And he kept on peppering our batters, making it very difficult for them to get out of there, get themselves open up and free up. He really tightened these lines and lengths and cramped them for space, made it very difficult for our batters to score off him. So I want to give him some credit. Another player I want to give credit is Mazurubani. I think he bowled a lot better than what his figures suggest. He only got 2 wickets in the first innings for 59 runs, but I think he deserved a lot more. His pace, his line, his length, his consistency was brilliant throughout this match, and I really want to give Zimbabwe credit for that because I think that they really performed. Those two bowlers bowled really well, and even though Masakesa struggled in the first match, I think he pulled it back nicely in the second innings against South Africa with his 2 for 117. But he was quite expensive, but he was turning the ball a bit. Then we talk about a little bit about South Africa's ruthlessness, obviously with the ball. They obviously, after scoring 418 for 9 in the first innings, that he cleared overnight and then brought Zimbabwe into bat. And we were quite ruthless with the ball. And Cody Yusuf really impressed me in this test match. He was brilliant in both of the innings. He got 3 for 42 in the first innings, but in this particular match as well today, he took 3 for 22. So, I mean, of his first ball of the day, he took a wicket, and he was clinical and he was ruthless. And the thing I think about that impressed me the most about him is that he kept consistent line and length throughout. He hardly swayed off that line and length. Barely did so. His economy was 2.44 today. He was absolutely brilliant. No wides, no balls. Fantastic performance from him, and I thought that he utterly deserved this opportunity, and he really did take it with both hands. And I think, in fact, he deserved a fifer maybe in this match, at least in the first innings or the second. He did deserve a fifer. But so did Vian Mulder, who bowled exceptionally well too, to back up that performance with the bat. To back up his performance with the ball, he performed with the bat as well. So that was brilliant. I mean, he got 4 for 50 against Zimbabwe in the first innings. Okay, yes, he didn't bowl as much in the second innings. He didn't get any wickets in the second innings. He bowled 7 overs, 0 for 13. His economy rate was 1.85. Brilliant lines and lengths he bowled. Didn't take any wickets though, but he was very crucial to this bowling performance as well. But yeah, he took 4 for 30, and then he backed it up with 147. Now let's talk about after bowling Zimbabwe out for 251, we were already in a heavy lead. So the pressure was off. And that's what disappointed me about our senior batters, because ultimately what happened was Tony got a start, then lost his wicket cheaply. David Bellingham got a stop, then lost his wicket cheaply. Kyle Verreynne did really well to support Vian Mulder, then lost his wicket cheaply shortly after Vian Mulder lost his wicket as well. And I know generally in cricket, that's a term that we know people say, you get one wicket and the second one falls shortly after. So that's something that obviously often happens in cricket, but I don't think that is a good enough escape route or excuse. I feel like our senior batters needed to know a little bit, need to do a little better. And that's the only criticism really I've had. And Corbin Bosch scored 36 in his second time trying to play bat as well. And Keshav got a 51. And we scored 369, and we put on a massive, massive lead. I think it was 537 run lead. And that was the target for Zimbabwe to get. And then Zimbabwe, I think, played really well in the last session yesterday. And then something weird happened, which I think kind of almost put them on the back foot from the start. We were trying to obviously get a last wicket, right? And we bowled the spinner so that we can get our paces with that overhead conditions on that pitch with a new ball. We wanted our paces to bowl as many as our most lethal paces, to bowl them as many overs as possible in that last stint or that last section of the session. And so they bowled Keshav in tandem with a pace bowler, and Corbin Bosch came out there. He had, instead of it was almost 5 o'clock, and they would have called the game off at 5, and the umpires made the players aware of that. And then Keshav was bowling, and the two opening batters were not wasting time to try and get Keshav to be the last over of the day's play. Instead, they went quite quickly through the over, blocked and passed the ball back to South Africa. And South Africa, this game, Keshav obviously recycled the ball very quickly and finished his over very quickly. And then it gave Corbin Bosch an opportunity to bowl. And lo and behold, off his second delivery, he gets a wicket of Caetano, nicks off. And they now start the new day on day 4 today with a new batter at the crease. So it would have been much better if they had two batters that already saw some of the play tomorrow, that already their nerves are settled, etc. And what happened? Day 4, opening ball, we get another wicket. So, like, craziness, I think, from a South African standpoint. Nick Welsh nicks off Corbin Bosch again off the first delivery today. And then they're obviously already 2 wickets down with such a big total to chase. I think that was a little bit shocking from Zimbabwe. And then we just piled on the pressure, continuously taking wickets at the regular intervals. There was only one particular period in this match that the game kind of crept away from us, and that was when Masakatsa and Craig Irvin, the captain, the two of them put on like an 80-run partnership and started pulling the game away. Started chipping away at that target. I wouldn't say pulling nothing away, because the chances of them winning this game was obviously very, 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 very slim. But Corbin Bosch today, I have to give him props, full props, because he was fantastic today. And some people might say, oh no, it's Zimbabwe. There's nothing to do with that, because today, for once, I feel like I can speak about Corbin Bosch and say his consistency and lines and lengths were brilliant. Good lines and lengths at a consistent pace, and he was troubling the batters almost every delivery that he bowled. He hardly swayed from a good line and length in this particular innings. And that was my one criticism of him in the past, is that he bowled kind of all over the place, a lot down leg side. When he bowls domestically, that used to happen. And it seems like he's really been working on that and he showed that he can be a lethal bowler for South Africa. If he can keep that lines and links consistent at that pace, he'll be deadly. And then South Africa is really going to be scratching their heads, and I think that they are still going to be scratching their heads. But that 5 wickets that he took today was absolutely brilliant. So let's just look at that scorecard quickly so that you guys can have a look at what happened in the match with me. But ultimately, the scorecard is brilliant. And you've got 153 from Luandre, Corbin Bosch 100. That was their first innings. And at 51 or 41 balls from Tuva Previs. Then I'm going to look at that 137 was very important for Zimbabwe, but that 4 wickets for 50 from Vian Mulder and that 3 for 42 from Cody Yusuf was key. And then that 3 wickets from Keshav Maharaj, even though he was quite expensive. And then South Africa's second innings, 147 from Vian Mulder, was kind of the nail in the coffin for Zimbabwe. And that 51 just added extra sprinkles for South Africa to ensure the victory and to make certain that it's there. And then, then Zimbabwe came back. They only had one fighting partnership, bowled out for 208. Cody Yusuf was brilliant, 3 for 22. And Corbin Bosch, 5 for 43. Now, this 5 for 43 means that Corbin Bosch has now taken 100 and a 5 for in the same test match. He's only the fifth South African to do so. So that is brilliant from him as well. And I think brilliant performance for South Africa. I think now we need to look towards the next match. And the aim over there should be that we give some other guys chances, especially after the way our senior batters performed. I almost feel like they don't deserve to get another opportunity, in my opinion. So, yeah, I wish I wish they performed, but they didn't. So that makes it a little bit tricky because I would like to see Senekwane get an opportunity. Maybe one of the other spinners like Sabrayan hasn't really gotten much opportunity in test matches really. I would like to obviously see Luandre and Dueva bat more. So that would be my priority, is keeping them in the side in that second test match. But let's get into the live chat and see what you guys have had to say. Guys, get active here. Sarfaz says, Corbin Bosch, what a player, man. This man's rise is just unbelievable in such a short period of time. And his age helps him because he is more familiar now with his game than he was when he was younger, of course. So getting your debut a little bit later on in your career can be a beneficial thing for a player because they are a lot more used to their style of play, etc., and they're a lot more familiar and in more of a rhythm. Craig says lots of good problems to have in terms of selection. Brilliant to see. And I think that is a major talking point over there, is that, yeah, Coach Shukri now has a massive headache when it comes to selection. And it's always brilliant to have so many options available because you can then pick for matches, pick for opponents, pick for conditions, etc. So that's brilliant to have. And Coach Shukri is actually quite lucky that he has now a depth in talent. But it wasn't by chance. And that's what people need to understand as well. This was orchestrated by Coach Shukri. He's given people opportunities at the right time. He's spoken to players and given them his confidence. He's allowed them to play with freedom. When the opportunity arises to give a player an opportunity, he gives it to them. He had that New Zealand tour also to test some players' characters and to understand their mentality. Some players from our domestic scene that have been putting on performances, they got trialed and tested there in New Zealand. So he's really putting an effort to find himself into this situation. And he's building an ethos and a belief in a squad that is getting along well in the environment. And I feel that will only help them grow as time goes by. Sarfara says, Mulden Corbin Bosch, what a good headache to have for Coach Shukri. Credit to Coach Shukri for identifying Corbin's talent. That would have gone unnoticed. The guts 7 times is Corbin Bosch, KO, T20 or 50 ODI may open Crow X Factor player. Okay, you speaking a language I don't know how to pronounce. Sarfaz says, Khalid can't understand India. What the? I can't. I don't know what you're saying. Dex says, now we must win in Pakistan. We must settle the score of last time with them. Adam says, Mulder or Bosch. I feel like Shukri would only go for one. While not as technically good, Bosch seems to have big match temperament. That 80 against Pakistan will not be forgotten. And he has an amazing self belief. And we've had many interviews with him and conversations with him on this channel where you can see signs of that. Corbin Bosch has a big belief in his own ability, and that helps. You need that as a sports player. Texas Bosch is a Ben Stokes kind of player. Mzansi Comic Club says, so $1 million question. Does Quena get dropped to accommodate another spinner, or shall we continue with the same side? Quena needs some help. He needs some guidance. He needs an arm around him. You can see signs of it. When he puts the ball on a very good line and length at the pace that he's bowling, he beats the batter all ends up. But my concern with that is that he's not doing it 3-4 bowls in an over. Some balls he's trying to go shorter pitched, trying to obviously bowl those ruthless shorter deliveries and hit the batter on the body or on the helmet. Then some of them are going fuller, trying to go for that Yorkers. So he's very inconsistent with his line and lengths at the moment. I feel like Keshaf or Temba, whoever's going to be managing him or captaining him in the games that he plays, if he does get more opportunities in the future, it will be Temba. But if he plays in the next match, then it will be Keshaf. I hope that they tell him, give him more instruction and guidance. It almost looked like Keshaf to a point stopped believing in him and rather told him, look here, just bang it in short and we'll put a short leg there for you and we'll take one of the slips out. You're not going to get any nicks here, so we'll put one slip or two slips in, or maybe and then a short leg in and bowl those shorter deliveries. The field was placed for that. And that for me is almost like telling your player, like, we don't believe that you'll be able to find the outside edge or get an LBW or get a bowled. So I feel like what he needs to do is maybe just to have more sessions with Pete Botha and more conversations. And I think as the two of them together need to decide or come up with a particular line and length that suits Kwena Mapaka's pace. Because if we can put it in good positions on the pitch consistently, his pace naturally will make it difficult for batters to play at him, or it will force them to play and then they'll nick off. Or if they swing and miss or try to play a shot and miss, it stumps, it's overs. Or if they try to play across the line or across their pads, they can get trapped to LBW. So I feel that he needs to, at this beginning stages of his first-class career, because he's only played 5 first-class matches, I think, or 4 in his career. At this vital point in his first-class career, the focus should not be on pace and bowling as fast as he can. I think that the focus should be on his line and length. He won't lose his pace. And I feel that at least in his first 1 or 2 or 3 overs in a first-class match, he needs to think about putting that ball on a spot, finding the place on that wicket, analyzing that wicket with his captain and with the coaches. They need to analyze the wicket beforehand and then tell Kwena, put it in this bowl the ball here, just pitch it here. And if the batter moves a certain amount of centimeters to his right or left or forward, then just pitch it a little bit back and bowl here. So give him those scenarios and help him with those scenarios, because I don't think that he's had the luxury of getting coached like that, because he was so quick and so lethal at school level. He was unplayable, because what kid is going to be able to play a 150 kilometer per hour bowler or 140 kilometer, 145 kilometer bowler at the time when he was at school, probably. Actually, 150, he was probably bowling already in school. It's the chances of a youngster or kid playing that is going to be slim. So he's going to be lethal against school kids. But the senior players and the older players that have been around in the game, they would have faced this. Like a team like Zimbabwe would have faced this too because they played against all the top teams in the world. They know the Starks, they know the Hazelwoods, they know the Cumminses, they know the Rabadas, they know the Boomerangs, etc. So they've had that experience playing. So if a kid comes on the scene bowling 150, it's not going to surprise them, especially if and then they're going to punish him if he doesn't bowl a good line and length. So there needs to be a little bit more coaching with Quena and a little bit of arm around his neck, shoulders, and just say, look here, stop, don't get upset about this. Try and learn as much from this experience as possible. Safa says, what are you saying? How in the world you find Coburn not technically good batter? I mean, he doesn't. He's not like the most. He's not a Shark Colors with a beautiful technique. Ultimately, Sabir says, "I think give Quinn another chance." I agree. Was comparing him to Mulder. Sarfas says nothing against Luandre. He was really brilliant in his debut and want him to play in the next Test match. But this is just unjust. What is unjust? In what Square says, same 11 should play. No point of changing a team after one game. But it's not about changing the team. It's about, you've picked a squad with a lot of new guys in the squad. Surely that should be because you want to see what these players have, especially when this game doesn't count for points. Mankey says, congrats on the WTC win. Thank you. Tezosi spot opener at risk from his performance. Well, I think it was at risk already because I think Ryan Rickleton has taken that spot now. So his chances of getting a spot back or getting a spot in the top three is declining slightly, and he's going to need to put on performances to prove Coach Shukri wrong if he wants to be selected in the side. I think Tony Tezosi and Tristan Stubbs perhaps similar boats, but not the same, because I do think Tristan must get a little bit. He's already got also Test 100 to his name, and he's a youngster still trying to figure himself out. He's been thrown in as a top order batter for South Africa from the get-go. So it's going to be tough for him at first to adapt and etc. So I think we need to give youngsters a little bit more of opportunities and not just get on their necks when they perform badly immediately, especially when you have the luxury of people actually winning new games. Wesley says Bedingham was so disappointing, Khalid. People had so much to say about why he wasn't getting picked. They have gone quiet now. Texas, I remember once Corbin took 6 catches in a CPL game. Yeah. Robert Haaland says, although Zimbabwe lost by a big margin, we got to give them some credit for giving their all and showing that they can play Test cricket 100%. And I gave them a lot of praise at the beginning of the show. So they played very well. Some of their players played really well and others just played poorly. So that's naturally, they don't have as many world-class players in their side as other teams do. But the ones that were good consistently. Sriram says Brevers can be handy as a bowler while when SA tour in Pakistan and India if he develop his leg spin a bit more. He needs a lot of work on his bowling still, I feel. Coburn skill is slightly ahead of Mulder in white ball cricket. For those youngsters, they just need to play more 4-day cricket. Domestically, play as many games as possible. And Coach Shukri obviously probably is already doing this, but communicating with the 4-day coaches and letting them know who's in his plans for the Test side and who should be selected. I mean, I don't think Coach Shukri would want to pick other franchise teams or franchise coaches teams for them, but there's at least let them know so that there's some kind of some synergy, because it's pointless you do one thing domestically and then you do something else Test cricket, and a player goes to the Test arena, gets told one thing, and then goes back to domestic cricket and then gets told another thing. It's going to cause a whole lot of confusion, especially in a young cricketer's mind. Josh says the thing with Corbin doing so well, who do you pick? Him and Mulder are both all-rounders but different players. Mulder stays, but Bosch could bat at 8 and then Janssen 9, no Lungi. That is potentially an option. And I don't know what the whole talk about transformation is at the moment and how they're going to work that and what are the criteria when it comes to that. In White Time Square says Mulder is more dependable than Corbin in all formats. Corbin carries the X factor with his pace. I wonder if they will be a little bit more forgiving, or not forgiving, more lenient with Coach Shukri after winning the World Test Championship final when it comes to quotas and to transformation. I don't like that word quota. It's not quotas. It's transformation. I wonder if they will. Him being a coach of color as well, and having been around through the apartheid era and played cricket through that era as well, for both sides, white and for the black side. So I'm interested to see how that approach will be against him, what the reaction will be against Coach Shukri, and especially after he's won this format. It's World Cup basically. Because do they now enforce it even more? Or do they lay off a little bit? That's the big question that I'm going to have now. Wesley says we need batsmen who score hundreds, not the starts Bedingham is getting. He gives his wicket too much. He's supposed to be our Steve Smith, Joe Root with his experience. Tex says Corbin makes things happen like Ben Stokes. NY Times Square says Khalid, would you play Mulder at 3 in white ball 2? Every batter would prefer number 3 at white ball than red ball. I won't. I think we've got too many players, man, at white ball cricket that are brilliant, that can bat up there. Mankey says, can you explain what people mean when they say Mulder is at number 3 to protect the middle order? I've heard that sentiment. Because if you, okay, I'll paint this scenario for you. Okay, I know that Coach Shukri doesn't believe in a night watchman. We've had a conversation and kind of a debate about this in the past. So I know that he isn't one that believes in the night watchman, right? So if you're of the mentality, and this is probably not Coach Shukri, because I think he believes in Viana's ability as a batter at 3. That we first need to get out of the way. Coach Shukri believes that Viana has the ability to bat at number 3 for South Africa, and that he'll grow into that position fine. Okay, he proved it kind of with the 147, right? First ever 100 in that position, because of his approach, not necessarily just because he scored 100. His approach, the way he batted really cautiously and smartly, and he didn't play rash shots like he did kind of in the first innings in the WTC final. Because even in the WTC final, in his second innings, he recovered and showed amazing ability to be able to hold out and leave deliveries, etc. And those are very important factors when it comes to a number 3 batter in Test cricket. Okay, so Coach Shukri believes that he will be number 3 for in Test cricket. That's the first thing that we need to understand. But then from there, if you are not of that belief, if you believe that Mulder's not a number 3, right, then I can understand this, because essentially it's like almost always having a night watchman in a way. So if your 2 opening batters, if you lose a wicket early, you're taking the risk away by throwing one of your other batters in, your other main batters in, you could say, main batters. And if they lose their wicket, then it's kind of like a night watchman. If you understand what I'm trying to put there. And I don't believe in that at all, that's the case. So whether I think Mulder is a number 3 or not, I feel personally that I don't know enough about Vian Mulder's character to the degree that Coach Shukri does. The conversations they have and what he sees in the nets, training, all of those things, I can only go on what I see personally, and that is what I see in 4-day cricket and what I see for South Africa. So I can only go on the matches. Within the matches, we haven't had a big enough sample size to be able to say, yes, he's a number 3, no, he's not. That's what I truly believe. And I know people are either on one or other end of the spectrum. And I think with this case, you can't really be, because we've seen good signs that it could be, and we've seen bad signs that it can't be. So I'm kind of in the middle at the moment on Vian Mulder. And I would like to, if Coach Shukri backs this decision and he believes that this is the case, then we have to accept that. And then we have to wait and see more of Vian Mulder in that position for us to make a judgment. That's what I currently believe. In my time's case, Stubbs only had bad Pakistan series and bad final with two beautiful deliveries. I think that the criticism of Stubbs is a bit much so soon. Rahul says, I really hope Brzezinski has a better game next test. It was quite a match for him. I still believe he is a promising talent. Sriram says Stubbs at 4, Luan at 5, Brevis at 6 would be the future lineup for South Africa. Wow. It really makes me excited to see that. In my time, Square says he's betting him a color player. No, he's not. He's white, like Dick says. Craig says, has everybody already forgot how important Bellingham was in the WTC final? He's coming off a high and isn't hungry currently, but he's a quality player. And I agree with you. I'm no, by no means think that Bellingham should be dropped. I think we are too harsh and too quick to drop players in Test cricket. It shouldn't be like in white ball cricket. I can understand to an extent when people want to drop players in white ball cricket so quickly. But in Test cricket, I don't think that should be the case, especially when we don't play a lot of Test cricket. We don't really have the luxury of players batting themselves into form. We almost are forced to be in form for every match that we play because we only play 2-3 Test matches at a time. So batters don't get to bat themselves into form. The England batters get to play 5 Test matches. If they don't perform in the first 2 Tests, it's okay. Maybe 3 or 4 or 5, they will get a score, and then nobody cares really about the failures. So we don't have that luxury, and I think we need to give our players a little bit more leeway when it comes to that, because they are ultimately expected to perform every single time they walk out into the middle, and I think that's a bit hectic because cricket's not like that. That's what players, when they average below 50, that means obviously that they fail more than they succeed. So obviously they are not going to score milestones every single time. So we need to be a little bit more realistic with our criticism, I think, as a fan base. Lodrick says the selection committee will ruin everything. Edward Taskes' commentator were asking for night watchman. When David came in WTC final, they don't know Shook's ball. Yeah, doesn't believe in a night watchman at all. Tex says, Khalid, it seems like Keshav is in his last phase of his career. Who do you see his replacement? I say that VP guy, Carl Simmons. Carl Simmons is very, very, very good. I'm waiting for the time and opportunity that he gets. SAA, SA emerging, etc. And if he can play the way he plays for Province for those teams, I mean, he's been really, really good. He deserves some recognition for the way he performed over the last 3 seasons for Western Province. Lodrick says, we are winning because the coach is choosing his players. The moment someone selects a squad for him, then forget about winning. I don't think someone's going to pick the squad for him. I think he'll have a massive influence on who's going to be a part of the selection panel. And if the selection panel doesn't give Coach Shukri who he wants in a side, or doesn't help him make the decisions for the best, then that will be really idiotic, especially after you are talking to a person that has just brought you success. Just Ginger says, the problem with Bellingham is this: he's good, but he's not a general talent. Guys like Luandra and Brevis are potentially generational talents. You have to play them and make room for them. But right now, immediately, I think, why not give Luandra and Deva Brevis a test match here and there, or a test series here and there? And like when we play Zimbabwe in between right now, or we play maybe West Indies in a match that maybe isn't for WTC points, or whatever the case may be, like those type of matches, give them chances there to play for South Africa, and let them play majority of their cricket in 4-day cricket and build their 4-day cricket averages, and let them score as much runs as possible, and then blood them into the team slowly. There's no need for us to just make wholesale quick changes like that, I feel. Wesley says Hamza and Senekwani should get a chance. I agree with you. The players that have been selected in the side that haven't played this test match, I feel that they should be given a chance in the second test match, because Zimbabwe is going to be hungry. And what better way to test your players' mentalities than giving them a hungry Zimbabwe team that's going to want to bounce back. This test series for me is more about finding out about your players that you have in your pipeline rather than trying to demolish Zimbabwe. If you guys understand what I'm saying. Like, I'm very happy that we were ruthless. But the reason why I'm so happy that we were ruthless is because the players that are on the fringes stepped up. If our senior players did, so at the same time at the same time that I'm disappointed with our senior players that they didn't perform, at the same time I probably would have been a little bit underwhelmed if they did perform. And we crushed Zimbabwe and scored like 700 in the first innings and then bowled them out for 120. Like, not that they're that bad, Zimbabwe, but I'm just saying, for example. So I think I'll be a lot more satisfied with this test series if we got to see everybody in the team get an opportunity. Dex says, Harley, do you agree with the return of a selector call? I say it's a bad. I don't think we need one. I don't know why we're making that decision right now. It proved that Coach Shukri being in charge of his selections has helped. In my Times Square, those who criticize Stubbs should stop watching cricket. He is the first last line to get critics. Dick said Enoch is bringing a selected course of the transformation. I don't think that's the reason. I think it's the reason why I think that's happening is because Coach Shukri now is in charge of 3 teams. So it will make it a lot easier to have a selector go and scout players as well and then give his input. But I hope that is what the selector will be doing. That Coach Shukri's say is the final say, kind of. And we're rather using the selector as almost like a person that can scout and give his names, and then they can talk about it and then decide or give Coach Shukri some other things to think about. Giving suggestions rather than telling him this is who you should select. That's how I want the relationship to be. Like, maybe Coach Shukri missed something. I mean, he's a human after all. Maybe he missed something. Then a selector might have known that or seen that or picked up on something and said, hey, what about this guy? Just give him some suggestions and say, be an aid to him rather than a opponent, for lack of a better word. Mankey says, thanks for the explanation. I learned a lot about cricket from your channel. Thanks a lot to you for coming on the show, because I learned a lot from you guys in the live chat too. Wilbur says, with an eye on the Pakistan series, who do you think this should be the second player, and do you play that spinner in the second Zim test? What? With an eye on the Pakistan series, who do you think should be the second player, and do you play the spinner in the second Zim test? I think we should play the second spinner. Oh, you mean who should be the second spinner? Yeah, Flip, you said it twice. That's why you guys would rather get involved with super chats if you. Yeah, I think I would like a variation. So second spinner for me, I've always thought that Prinlance O'Brien deserves an opportunity as an off spinner, giving something different. He can bat a bit. I would like to see what he can do. Maybe only in my time square says maybe only option is to rest David and bring Hamza. Other all need game time unless you rest Verena, give gloves to Luandre Pretorius. I wouldn't give the gloves to Luandre Pretorius right now. I know he's a keeper and everything, but it's hard to I want him to focus on his batting at the moment, man. Like, just make sure that he focuses on his batting. Dex says, Harley, remember that horrible phase of 2019 to 2023 when we were starved for a single century and we were having all sorts of issues when we retired. Now, do you think that the transition is complete? Not complete, but the transition is almost complete. I think once we've seen all the fringe players get opportunities, etc., and Coach Shukri expands his pool of players, then I would say probably be comfortable to say, okay, we are complete. When we know what our backups are For example, you have your 11, and then you have your 15, and then you have your 23, maybe, or 21 or 20. I think if Coach Shukri finds that, the transition is complete, because then you know, okay, he can now ultimately select for certain conditions against for certain opponents, and we can strategically start picking teams. And then us as fans don't have to feel, oh no, this player has been left out, being dropped forever. There might be an opportunity for him to come in if his skill set is necessary for a specific game. It would be nice to have that type of luxury. Not that cricket works like that necessarily always, but it would be nice to have that luxury. In my time scale, but who would you take out to bring Zubair Hamza and Senekwane? Uh, Tony and David come out, I think, and then Hamza and Senekwane play, I think. Or I would take out Math. I want to see Matthew Pat again. I want to see Matthew Pat again. But otherwise, it would be Matthew for Senekwane with Tony up front and give Tony another opportunity. I mean, he showed some signs, more signs than I feel Matthew did. And then David out, and then Hamza in, and then we can get to see everybody play, and then the youngsters get another opportunity to prove themselves again, or to show what they are capable of. And then we need to make a decision on the extra spinner, Quena coming in, Quena out, and maybe Subrain coming in. And then having Keshav, and then Bosch, and then Mulder, and then Cody Yusuf. Cody Yusuf's been brilliant. I don't think he deserves to be dropped. I think we deserve to see more of him. And whether he can, for me, not necessarily can he perform the same way from a wickets perspective. For me, it's more, can he produce the same type of lethal line and lengths consistently in the next test match? And I would like to see if he's capable of that. Guys, you were brilliant today. Thank you a lot for tuning in on an earlier show today. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to smash the like button, please. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to also subscribe and click that notification bell for all future videos, please. Please smash that like button. Please comment in the comment section after we ended this stream, and share this video with as many people as possible. We also have a magazine, a digital magazine. That is what we actually are. That's why we call Cricket Fanatics Magazine. We are a digital publication first and foremost, and we have it. It's online. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. It maneuvers to your phone, your device, or your tablet, or your computer. You can read it on any device in your browser. You don't have to download an app. And that's the nice thing about this. You get delivered every single month to your email every month. You click on the link and it opens up in your browser, and you can have an amazing read, and you can have access to all of the back issues 100% free. So go ahead and download that. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. And if you guys want to get involved with donations or anything towards to helping the channel, because we are obviously on a shoestring budget when it comes to running this business at the moment. We are not profitable. We are at the moment just getting by and making enough to keep things going. So if you guys want to get involved, then please do. My PayPal link is in the description. We also got a Patreon account. You can get involved with the Patreon account, and also on the shows you can get involved with the super chats. And yeah, watch all the ads, etc., on the videos that we do publish as well. But thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys again very soon with a preview for the next match. Stay safe, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace out.